Hey everybody, my name is Brad. Welcome back to That Makes Sense. Today just happens to be the 4th of July. Not just that, but the 250th anniversary of the United States declaring independence from Britain. And I wanted to showcase a synthesizer that's very as American, as US as you can get. And that is a synth from Robert Moog. Robert Moog invented the Moog Model D back in the 60s, and basically he was like one of the first guys that made synthesizers. He was the first one in terms of with the Model D. But then things took a bad turn and they went out of business. And it wasn't until the early 2000s, I should have looked up the history, but basically they came back and they opened a factory in Asheville, North Carolina. And so I think the first synth that they released was the Moog Slim Phatty, which I actually have here. And it is a mono synth, like a lot of the Moogs, and fully analog. And I think it's kind of weird looking back now because you've had all these analog synthesizers come back into the marketplace. But at that time, there really wasn't anything analog coming out. Everything was like virtual analog. And I think the last thing that came out was one from the Alesis Andromeda, but Alesis I think was probably out of business by this point. So Moog came back and got the Slim Phatty. The one that I have here is a module of it, so meaning it doesn't have keys. So I'll be playing the keys from the Korg microKORG. So let's hear what it sounds like. This first one, this sound is called Helon 1. It's number 46. So it's got a very Moog sound to it. There's just something to a Moog that gives it that sound. So we'll hear some other ones. This is called Transformer. This is Niche. Lansing 2. You can definitely hear some of that Daft Punk sort of sound in it. Star Wreck. Just like resonate afterwards. Karate. Marine. So you can hear that kind of splash real fast at that attack, and then it decays real fast too. Now when you hold your fingers on the keys, that attack isn't there. So when you first strike down, you'll hear it. Pew, pew. And there it's gone. Mint for Droney. Not really hearing a Nintendo from that, but okay. Superpowers. All right. Marine G2. So let's try some of the different filters and stuff with this. It's been a while since I played with it. I just kind of powered it on to see where it'll take me. But in LFOs, you've got, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sort of LFOs. So we'll take that Marine G2. So you can definitely hear that. It's almost like a double triangle, and then this one's kind of like a double triangle going the opposite direction. This one is like a double square wave. And then, so that's the first section that we have, and then we've got the oscillators. There's 2 oscillators on here. So let's start with the one. So you have this oscillator dial where you can kind of go between the two. There's 2 oscillators, and you can kind of blend between the two and decide like what sort of oscillation you want. The other thing you can do is adjust what octave like each oscillator is. So here is the low octave for oscillator 1. Now I've adjusted it. Now I'm adjusting it for octave 2. Put both oscillator 1 and 2 at 16. So there I've dialed back the modulation and just have the oscillators. So now we've got the filter section with the famous Moog filter. We've got a cutoff and a resonance. completely cuts it off. Then we can adjust the resonance. Alright, and then we have the envelope generators where we can adjust attack, decay, sustain, and release. Then back with the modulation. So let's hear some of the other sounds on here. TP Funk. Quiet Jacob. Mikey Dance. Play in E mod. And you can definitely hear where some of these movies from the 60s and 70s get that sci-fi sound. You could definitely hear how a Moog synthesizer could affect that. Let's see here. Filtz Res Kick. Gritty Ninth. Just a modulation. So that's some of the sounds, some of the presets on the Moog Slim Phatty. There's also more like organ sounds that aren't so synthy. What I think about it, this is my first and only Moog synthesizer, unless you want to count the Behringer Model D as a Moog. The sounds sound great by themselves. I just struggle with placing them with other sounds with my other synths. And I think the reason why is the Moog is it really cuts through everything else, and it's probably just me not knowing enough on how to use it, or maybe me not knowing enough how to blend it with other synths. But I like the sound alone, but I've struggled with making music with it, which is kind of funny because Moog is such a well-known and classic synth manufacturer, and so it's probably been a couple years since I've powered this thing on, to be honest. But I always sometimes, like, when you have a synth, you come back to it and it falls into place, and maybe I'll keep learning about this synth and see what I can do to make it fit into a track. And sometimes, like, you need to challenge yourself to figure out how to make it work. And maybe, this with other Moogs, and maybe I should try the Model D that I have. It'll fit better. Just when you combine it, at least for me, with other synths, it's just too harsh. That being said, I mean, maybe I should try doing the bass line with the Moog, which, I mean, Moogs are very famous for bass lines. So maybe I'll do that and come up with a song to show you. One other story that I have, just a personal story regarding Moog, is that I was in Asheville at a conference, and I was able, the Moog synthesizer factory was right down the road from where the conference was. So I was able to go to the Moog factory, which was just amazing in itself. And as soon as you walked in, the showroom floor was there, and it had all the Moog synthesizers that were in production. I think at that point, the Moog Slim Phatty was out, the Moog Voyager, which is probably one of the most amazing synthesizers that I've ever heard, as well as the Alesis Andromeda in person. And then they had a couple other ones, but a lot of them hadn't come out yet. It was still early, in the earlier days. But I got to take you got to tour the factory. Everything there was American made, except for the key bed. The key bed, I believe, was made in Italy. So when I was there, they were repairing Jay-Z's synthesizer, his Moog Voyager, which I thought that was so cool. It was kind of laid out, kind of like each person had their own workstation, and they concentrated on a specific task. They had a room where it was just a whole bunch of Moogs set up. I think the Mooger Fogers had come out by that point, the reissues of those. So they'd have different artists and musicians playing in that room where they would record and place videos up on YouTube. And then the upper floor, which unfortunately I didn't get to see, that's where they did a lot of their research and development. And of course, I wouldn't have been able to see that, but it was just a really cool place. I think I think they were about to release the bass station, or it wasn't the bass station, but whatever their bass synth was, that came out shortly after the Slim Phatty. I think either that just got released or they were about to release. I can't remember exactly, but I will say that there was a lot of pride in them being able to make synthesizers, which, this Moog synthesizer, they should. That a lot of pride that they were able to bring it back. Even at that point, well before Behringer was releasing synthesizers, they were criticizing the companies that had cheapened out and were releasing synthesizers made in China to undercut them. And well, I mean, at the end of the day, Moog got bought out, which is sad in a way, but that's unfortunately how business works sometimes. And you know, they used to have the Moog festivals every year, the Moog Fest, which I never got to attend, but I remember they brought in some big names like Kraftwerk, some other big electronic artists, and the good news is Moog is still around in a way. I think they closed the factory in Asheville, and I think all the employees got a share of the profit, profit sharing, which I think Bob Moog I think died shortly after the release of the Slim Phatty. So I think even though it has a sad ending, there is kind of a happy ending. At least the Moog employees were valued as employees, and I was really honored to see that moment in time. I think it was maybe around 2006 or actually 2008ish maybe. So there you go. There's the Slim Phatty from Moog, and just wish everybody a happy 4th of July. So take care, everybody.